Hello and welcome to Leading. Our guest on the program today is someone who has contributed immensely to raising the profile and esteem of Nigerian arts on the international scene. He is a visiting lecturer and artist in residence at numerous American universities. He's also had his works displayed at important locations around the globe, such as the World Bank, the Victoria Albert Hall in England, as well as the Smithsonian Museum in the United States of America, among other places. He is a curator at the Tunde Odunlade Arts and Culture Connection. Welcome, Prince Tunde Odunlade.
Thank you very much, my brothers. Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Yeah, same here.
Now let's take a quick look at the art scene globally
Good.
and make a comparison to what obtains in our clime.
Okay. The way that I describe that is that Nigerian art equals the best you can find anywhere in the world. That's established. Bam. Because nowhere I've been that they will not look at my art and commend it. Back in the 60s or the 70s, there were a lot of expatriates in this country, and they were the major collector of art. But nowadays, you have a lot of Nigerians who are collecting art. There are homes here in Nigeria these days where they auctioning art, like the Chandler's homes and other homes like that, where they auction art. And it's not just Nigerian art they are auctioning. They also auction art from around Africa, around the world. There is hardly any auction home around the world that you will not find Nigerian and African art in their auction.
True.
Like Sotheby, Christie's, Bonham, and a host of others like that. Nigerian art make their way into all these auction homes. So we are growing.
What's the
But
structure?
the rate of development is what I'm worried about.
What's the structure in Europe and North America like?
Well, the structure is such that
the visual art scene.
yes, the structure is such that you have organizations like foundations, institutions, and government, of course, supporting art. National Endowment for the Arts. MacArthur Foundation can say we are budgeting X amount to support an artist. There's one they call they call it, which has to do with talent hunt.
Okay.
You are just an artist doing your work, and all of a sudden a phone rings, and then you pick it up and say, "Oh, you are Mr. Tunde Odunlade?" "Yes, sir. I'm calling from MacArthur Foundation, and we've just decided that you have won this Genius Award," they call it.
Which is like a grant.
Like a grant, without applying for it. And they are giving you this money just so you can do your job unhindered, and without having to be scratching your head, where's the next meal going to come from?
How do I pay my bills?
How do I pay my bills? Just to be doing what it's doing without hassle. So those are the kind of...
They're not procuring his work. They're just giving
They
him that
just
grant.
give him the money, and
Take
he
this
didn't even
money.
ask for it.
Yeah.
Or grants from different non-government organizations that you could apply for. Well, you might argue that there's some of that in Nigeria, but it's minimal. Over there in the US or some Europe, I know for sure that there is an annual budget to support art, to do residency, part of what I've enjoyed a lot, to do residency in an institution, not necessarily government institution, but it can trickle down to other institutions that are not necessarily governmental, to support artists for doing their job, to hold public workshop. Like for instance, I visit the Smithsonian Institution, and they take me around what they call community outreach, which has taken me to George Washington University, Bowie State University, Atlantic, some other universities around Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. area. And I get carried around in government numbered, vehicle, And there was one, they put me in a very expensive hotel, Oriental Hotel in Washington, D.C. Very expensive. Then I was asking the lady who was coordinating it, Gatoni. I said, Gatoni, why did you put me in such an expensive hotel? He said, we have to celebrate you. Because you have something the community needs and you are giving it, and you must be very well endowed. You must be very well paid. Will I get that kind of a thing in Nigeria? I don't know if I will.
Coming up.
Art having spiritual essence,
Yes.
business having material essence.
Yes.
Where is the point of convergence? So what are the leaders in the visual arts scenes doing presently to tackle some of these challenges?
That's a bit, saddening. We don't work together as much as we should in this country. So it's like everybody is fetching for his own, bowl, which is bad. So you only can see, even if it's happening, you only can see what each of these leaders are in the art, industry are doing. I know what I'm doing. I've got an art gallery here in Bodija, that I have about 80 artists showcasing their works in it. I don't know how many artists. There might be entrepreneurs who open an art gallery and invite artists to come and showcase their work. But an artist like me, who is an artist, to set up a gallery and put works of other artists in the gallery, it's not very common.
It's like an art market.
It's like an art market. If I call it pan artist market.
These isolated cases, individual effort,
Yes.
oases of efforts,
Yes.
collectively is better than doing nothing anyway.
Yes.
Now, Ibadan, historically,
Yes.
was the cultural headquarters
Yes.
of Nigeria.
Without question.
Without question.
Yes.
But somewhere along the line, that glory faded away.
It fell through.
Is this effort of yours, is this creation of the art market in Ibadan that you just created about 2 years ago now?
Less than that.
Less than 2 years ago. Is it an effort to bring back those glorious old days?
Primarily, it is an effort to do me.
Okay.
And me, meaning that I like people to work together.
Collaborate.
I believe it to collaborate. I believe in what I call team, TEAM. Together, each achieves more. If we can collaborate, if we can work together, if we can see ourselves as partners, as opposed to competitors, then things can be better. My travel around the world, each place that I go to, I carry works of other artists. And I've taken a lot of artists to the US, to Europe, some of them are now living there. Some of them have been able to showcase their work who ordinarily would not have had any opportunity. I'm not trying to praise myself or to eulogize myself, but I'm just saying that in a situation whereby you have little or no market or little or no opportunity, you can create opportunity among yourselves. I remember when I had an interview on CNN, which made me the first Nigerian artist to appear on CNN in 1993, January 3rd. The lady who presented the program, Week in Review, on CNN, and that's Susan Rooks, she said, Tunde, I know one thing. And I said, what is that thing? You Nigerian artists have been using your art to bridge the gap between cultures, a phenomenon the diplomats are yet to achieve. So, in other words, art goes beyond just how much are we going to find from there. It's a good image launder. It's a good way to propagate what you have at home. It's a good way to let the world know that you are civilized people. Civilized people showcase their civility by showing the kind of art they have. If you go to visit somebody say in Washington, D.C., he will tell you, oh, I would like to take you to a museum. There's a new museum that just opened around the corner. That's how he shows his or our civility.
And the museums and art galleries
And art galleries,
they're supposed to be like a documentary.
It is documentary.
Of the history of a society.
That's where you learn your history. That's where you learn your history. That's where you learn where you are coming from and ultimately where you headed. So leadership and art go hand in hand.
Where is the point of convergence in the arts world? Art having spiritual essence?
Yes.
Business having material essence?
Yes.
Is there a point of convergence?
The point of convergence lies in the patron. What you want
the end to which you deploy art.
That's where that lies. Some of the art that were taken from Africa. Okay, let's talk about Nigeria. Especially the Benin raid on over Oboranwe Ogbaisi, you know, that were taken away. Those pieces of art, fortunately or unfortunately, has an identity that can't be removed.
It never
stays forever.
Yeah.
So that's part of why this day you see some quarters, like the Smithsonian Institution that I, consult with every now and then. Now they're trying to return a lot of pieces to Benin.
Yeah.
And
last year in the UK, I think University of Aberdeen, some artworks were returned. The cockerel was returned to Benin.
Yes. That's only a fraction of what has been taken away. Those work carry our identity.
Sure.
And I had some people say that now they have decided to bring the works back because they say those works are troubling them. No piece of artwork ever troubles anybody.
It's superstition at work again.
It's superstitional. And it is a big lie. People are enjoying it in museums. If you travel to America today and they say, let's go to a museum, part of what you're going to see there will be pieces from your backyard.
So how do we erode this mindset?
By saying what you are saying.
Mindset.
By saying what we are saying.
I've seen people die who are collectors of art. Someone that I knew who died was a collector of art, and they went to burn all the artworks. It was thrown into the furnace. And I've gone to...
Now you want to make me cry.
I'm sorry about that. Because these are the issues we need to face. I've also gone to the funeral of the husband of a boss of mine, way back like 15 years ago. And we saw in his compound a lot of statues. And one of my guys was commenting that maybe it's one of these statues that even beat this man to death.
So people who don't have art don't die. Is that what I'm understanding?
It's superstition.
Those who don't have art, who don't have sculptures they don't die. By burning art, it's like setting books on fire.
Books on fire, yes.
Because a piece of art is an iconic piece.
Absolutely.
To tell you things that you won't ordinarily have known.
Yeah.
Why do archaeologists
and anthropologists
I was
going to go there.
Why do they go searching for knowledge through found objects? And they will establish things that had happened 65 million years ago.
True.
When some religion are telling you life is only 6,000 years. And archaeological findings will not tell you millions of years ago. That's how long life has been in existence.
In the art industry,
the
visual art industry,
yes.
If somebody wants to be a player, in that scene, what are the kind of roadblocks or challenges he or she should anticipate?
Every business has its challenges. That's that question. But in order to face the challenges, to be prepared for the challenges, first you have to educate yourself in some areas.
Such as?
Coming up.
You are from the Oshogbo school.
Yes.
I gathered, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's an offspring of the Mbari Mbayo Club.
Without question.
Which was founded principally by Unibaya and Susan Wenger.
Mama will always make sure that you are on top of your game. These are people we're supposed to be celebrating. Not all these one leaders. If you want to be an art gallery, what does it entail to run a gallery? How do you work with an artist? Okay. What kind of contract do you set up with an artist in order to have what kind of art gets you that you want to present to the world? So primarily your taste, it's possibly going to be the taste that the potential client may want to depend on, because you have been seen to be an expert in that field. So you don't want to present an artist who you cannot vouch for, who you cannot say, this is where the artist is coming from. This is the inspiration behind the art. So you want to educate yourself as much as possible back then. So
education is key.
Education is key. Now, enlightenment is key. Searching for knowledge, seeking knowledge is key. Interacting with people in that field is also key.
You are from the Oshogbo school.
Yes, initially.
Yes. I mean, you evolved out of the Oshogbo school, and I also found out that you interfaced with the Oriolokun at some point.
Yes.
Now, the Oshogbo school, I gathered, and please correct me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
Is an offspring of the Mbari Mbayo Club.
Without question.
Which was founded principally by Ulibea.
And
Ulibaya and Susan Wenger.
Yes, you're right about
we
that.
all know as Adunni Olorisha.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that Adunni Olorisha must have taken Mbari Mbayo from Ibadan to Oshogbo.
Okay, do you want me to come in now?
Please come in.
Well, Mbari Mbayo started here in Ibadan. Mbari started here in Ibadan.
Okay.
And there's no way you will talk about Mbari without giving kudos to Uncle Tunji Elano, the fantastic and famous musician.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of those, if not, who pioneered Mbari Club. Mbari is not a Yoruba word. Mbari is an Igbo word, which means Ibere, beginning. And if you look at those three words, Ibere, beginning, Mbari, they all have same syllables. Ibere, beginning, Mbari. So they started it, and it became what you want to call a rendezvous for artists, visual artists, for writers, for dramatists, for musicians, for all of those family of art to come together and started doing something, developing things that became what we have today in the area of art and cultural milieu. So Wole Soyinka, Professor Wole Soyinka was without question part of it.
Yes.
Susan Buzonobrapeya was part of it. You know, Christopher Okibo, you know, Chino Achebe, you know, Okutuji I've mentioned before, and Adebola Onibokuta, and a host of others like that. Yeah. So Odunlade now saw this because he was part of it as well. He and Ulibaya took it to Oshogbo and now make it a Yoruba word. Mbari, Mbayo. That's where that came from. Yes. And in 1962, they had the first experimental workshop that had Rufus Ogundele and Jacob Afolabi to be the first beneficiaries of that workshop that was created by Ulibaya with the support of Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, and all those other grants to form that experimental school. Then in 1963, the Rufus Ogundele and Jacob Afolabi were part of Odunlade Drama Group.
Okay.
So it means they metamorphosed into being visual artists from dramatists. Yeah. And so the other people who became, you know, beneficiaries of this different experimental workshop that took place in 1962, 1963, 64, 65, up until 1967, which include people like Adebisi Fabumi, Murano Oyelami, Chief Murano Oyelami, Chief Jimo Braimo, President Kadeyemi, and a host of others like that. So they all came together, they all got developed from this tradition of Umbari Umbayo. So that's how that came to be. And of course, Mama Susan Wenger was Chief Willibaya's wife at the time. So she found what he called sacred art, which I think began in 1965, that other people like Tijani Mayakiri and the Yinka Adeyemi benefited from, you know. And of course, I work with Mama a little bit in some ways, and other, you know, artists of note.
So you got some mentorship from her.
I got some. If I have time to say this, there was a day I was showing my work to Mama, and Tunde, what is Kilelei? Muni, I say the title. Then until we found one. What kini title? Kilelei? Muni Hawking. Muni Hawking. Kini tuma Hawking. Muni un taja. And kini tuma un taja. Muni un polowo. Muni kini tuma un polowo. Muni un polowo. Tunde oh boy you pa.
Wow.
Muna, Mama, Olowo is calling one who has money to come and buy. Because when a Yoruba man sets out in the morning, he does not want to be met with somebody who is going to buy credit from him or her. Allow me. Olowo is calling one who has ever thought that that's the kind of a deep meaning that word Onkolo, we just say it casually, Onkolo advertising, Onkolo. But have we ever sat down to...
And that's coming from an Austrian woman.
That's coming from an Austrian woman. From that day on, I said to myself, I have to be in control of my language, Yoruba. And that has given me impetus to use Yoruba, which is what I've done internationally, and that has made me authority in the area of the kind of art that I produce, using Yoruba proverbs.
So that's an influence from her.
Indeed.
What kind of other influences can you point at that you can say you derived from your interaction and engagement with Susan Wenger?
Oh, a lot. And one of it could be that Mama will always make sure that you are on top of your game. She's a disciplinarian. She will always make sure that what you are doing it to get the best out of it. Okay. She had a lot of adopted children, like Doyi, Gbadamosi, who just passed. I can't think, Gbadamosi. And then all of those excelled because Mama was on top of the game for you to be a prolific and an endowed artist of whatever medium.
Who took over from her now?
Well, most of the jobs that were done were completely done, but the maintenance of the place fell on the lap of Pa Adeniji Akonji, Pa Akonji. So just recently, the Smithsonian commissioned me to go and interview him. So I had the opportunity of interacting with this man who is in his 90s. And so his son now is the custodian of the place, Pa Akonji's son, which National Commission for Museum and Monument hired to take charge of all the groove, all the images there, and proper maintenance is carried.
Because in leadership, we always think of sustainability.
Exactly. These are people we're supposed to be celebrating. Not all these Wankaje leaders. These are people we're supposed to be celebrating. When was the last time anyone has ever mentioned Demaziwoko and take him to Aso Rock and decorate him?
With medals.
Or Bruce Onobrapeya. Or Kolade Oshinowo, or Yusuf Grillo, who just passed, whose work sells in millions of dollars abroad.
Or Jimo Ibrahim.
Jimo Ibrahim, who is still there in Oshogo, or Murano Oyelami, who is still there. Adebisi Fakbumi.
So we can go on, and that's part of why we have this program, so that we can draw policymakers' attention, those who control the levels of society's activities, to draw their attention to things that need to be paid attention to. I also like to touch on the contribution of art to the economy of a milieu, the state of California in the United States is the 6th largest economy in the world. It used to be the 3rd largest economy in the world. So if you were a country, it's just a state in one of 50 states.
Yeah.
If you were to be a country, its economy would be the 6th largest in the world. Yet, principally what it sells is intellectual property,
Yes.
creative products.
Yes.
How can we get our policymakers
Okay.
to understand that there is wealth outside mineral resources?
You know, I'm so happy that you made mention of that. But my standpoint is that I'm not even saying don't look at it from
GDP.
the monetary gain from GDP first. Look at it from what can this thing offer us? What image can it give us? And then we can begin to talk about what money can we get out of it.
That's okay.
But quickly,
So
I'd like to remind you
reputational asset of the country
of
first.
the first and foremost.
I mean, while we're focusing on the industries that we used to have,
Yes.
which have departed or died or
Yes.
whittled down,
Yes.
we should also be focusing on how we can grow our
And
creative
all of
industry.
those died because we lack creativity, because we lack imagination. Look at it from that angle again. Whatever it is you may want to become in life is already embedded in you. It's already implanted in you. It's already imbibed in you. You just need to be able to think creatively, imagine, and then bring it to the forth. But unfortunately, I'm going to say this before I go. Our kind of education is not to bring forth from within, which is what education is, educare, to bring forth from within. Rather, it's even killing what is within. Yeah. Everyone is a leader in his own right.
Absolutely.
But when one fails, when one abdicates his or her responsibility, the whole society fails.
Prince Tunde Odunlade, it's been awesome, illuminating.
Thank you very much. Let's chop local.
Yes. We appreciate it.